All right, so I am here at the mall for the 85th anniversary of Citizen Kane. Now, I have never seen this film before in my life, always heard the name drop. I only just did a very minimal amount of research before going into this. I don't want to know too much. I am familiar with the fact that I think the guy who made it was in his 20s when he did this, and I only know this because they were mentioning that on Impractical Jokers while they were roasting James Murray's Damned, which I've seen, and yeah, it sucks. No problem saying that. I am sure I am going to enjoy Citizen Kane a lot more than James Murray's Damned. Alright, so I just got finished seeing Citizen Kane. Now, this film is 85 years old. It's regarded as one of the best of all times. And I'll definitely say it is an acquired taste. Like, to have the patience to sit through a story like this. It is very interesting how it's told, because it's very much like a lot of different stories inside of another story. The first like 10 or 20 minutes, you kind of have to like brace yourself a little, just because it's told in very fast-paced, almost like fast news coverage. But once you get through that, you have a more mellow story that's kind of telling the entire history of one man and trying to figure out what's the significance of the very last thing he spoke. And the answer in the end is actually quite interesting. It kind of takes me back to a film from last year, Jay Kelly, with George Clooney, where the very last line of the movie, after seeing all the accomplishments of his life, and him just saying, "I'd like another take." Like, he kind of wishes he could go back and do it all over again. And the final word of this, of Charles Kane, is Rosebud. So you've got like a reporter who's trying to figure out what's the significance of all this. And you're watching the story of a man who, in many ways, seemed to have it all the while was kind of throwing it all away. He had like a successful career running a business, running a newspaper, all the while having a chance to have a great political career while having a family, and then kind of just lost that all over choices. Like, you don't even want to say mistakes, but then even those choices, with them come more mistakes. It's interesting how it's very hard to just quantify in a out-of-theater response, but the very last words that he spoke, as they're doing the last few minutes of the movie, you're seeing, here's a man who quite literally had so much that you thought, what do you even do with all of this? Like, it's almost kind of horrifying, and then as it's all just being burnt away, you finally see what Rosebud was and what it truly meant, as people out there are kind of given their own take on it. And it's kind of interesting how they kind of figured it out without actually realizing that they figured it out. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Citizen Kane yet, but Rosebud is what was said are written on a sled from his childhood, meaning he was talking about how as soon as he went off to have a successful life, he basically lost the good in him almost. Like, it's basically him wishing he could go back and change his entire life. And it's very interesting. Like, when you watch someone who, every time he has something good, how he's just throwing it all away. And it is quite tragic, but also remarkable. And it also kind of reminds me of one of my favorite songs from Heather Jansen, Underneath It All. Once you take away all the materialism, all the insignificance, what's left? So, yeah, I really dug this film. It's a film you watch every once in a great long while, but it's still worth checking out at least once.